This is Stephen Chin for nighthacking.com, and I'm doing JavaOne interviews with different speakers who are going to be out for the conference. JavaOne San Francisco is from September 22nd through 26th, and today I'm joined by Dr. Johan Voss. How you doing? How you doing, Johan?
I'm fine, Steve. Thanks. How are you?
So what is your plan for JavaOne? What sort of exciting surprises, content?
Well, I'll be giving two presentations in my favorite areas. One is completely on JavaFX, and the other one is on Java Enterprise, and more specifically, social software on top of the Java E7 standard.
Cool. And you have any interesting applications or stuff you're going to be showing in those presentations?
Well, for the JavaFX presentation, we will be showing the new release of DataFX, which is a framework that Jonathan Giles, Hendrik Ebbers, and myself created for binding data in JavaFX controls to remote data sources. We will be releasing version 2 of DataFX probably a few days before the presentation. Gives us a bit of a comfort zone.
It's conference-driven development.
As always, it starts with JavaOne and it ends at JavaOne. DevOps in between.
Yep.
So with DataFX, we will show the current state. We show some enhancements on the previous version, and we have we had a few requests from people that wanted, for example, to have write-back support when the data changes locally, and that's what we added, and we're gonna show it. We might also show some more real-time applications using DataFX using WebSockets.
Oh, nice. Are you using the new E7 WebSocket support?
Absolutely. So the backend example is running Glassfish 4 with the server component of the WebSocket API, and in the client we are using the client API of the Java API for WebSockets. So that actually I think reduced our boilerplate code by 95% or something. So that API
that sounds like a very precise number there. You probably did a research study and measured that, right?
I have to admit it's between 95 and 95.7, but
okay, so let's show your desktop and you can show some of the stuff you've been working on.
Okay. Oh, there is my desktop. So well, maybe the DataFX talk. We have DataFX is a project which we recently moved over to Bitbucket, so you can have a look at it there. We released build 3 of DataFX 2 a couple of days ago, and we have a number of projects in there with DataFX core, parent WebSocket, and the samples. So what I can show now is a sample where we have a JavaFX table view, which you can see here with 3 records. So this really looks like a database, and actually it is a view on a database. Now the interesting thing here is that I can't change person's first name, but I can't change their last name. And if I do so for example, Jonathan, his last name, because there are always discussions about how to pronounce his last name. So
yeah, I had trouble with that. What is that? Gills?
Yeah, well, Jarls. Whatever we
Jarls?
call it. From now on, it's Jonathan Smith.
Ah, okay, that helps. Now I can pronounce it. Jonathan Smith.
Okay. So if you look at the output, you see
Jonathan Giles would be so happy we butchered his name on a live stream.
How late is it in New Zealand? Oh, he probably, yeah, he's already awake, but probably not blaming us. So what happened is we see some system output where this statement is now executed in the database. Update person set last name is Smith, where first name is Jonathan. So because in the first version of DataFX did a one-way binding, so this data comes from a database, and in the new version we also have two-way binding. If we
Nice.
change, oh hi Jonathan, if we change a record here, it's written back into the database. Now this is the database, but we also have examples using REST services, web services, where changes made by the user are propagated back to the original data store.
So I noticed there's a guy, Johan Fox, in that list. Do you know who that is?
Actually, that was my that's test-driven development. So before I entered this stream, I wanted to make sure that it worked, and I forgot to to restart the application.
So just to get revenge on you, I offered up in the live stream. They can pick the name that we should call you. So we'll get back to it, but if they can come up with a creative name, then we'll put something interesting there for you.
Probably something like.
No, that would probably not be the first choice.
But it's my first choice.
So what other stuff do you have in store for JavaOne?
Okay, so this is the JavaFX talk where we focus on how to get enterprise data into JavaFX applications. It already combines my two favorite areas, which is enterprise and JavaFX. The other talk is actually the opposite. It's enterprise driven, but it also has a JavaFX component. So the second talk is about DaliCore, which is a framework on top of Java Enterprise 7, where we add the concepts of users, content, and social networks on top of the Java Enterprise.
So you're doing social integration on top of Java EE.
Yes, and we leverage the Java EE7 specification. So what we've seen in many projects is that there's lots of boilerplate code, because today's projects, many developers need to write an integration with Facebook or Twitter, and they should extend the user information that they receive from Facebook with some local user information that's stored in a database. So the long time ago, Facebook and the other social networks were just for fun. And what we see today is that the business aspect of having Facebook applications and Facebook integrations in general is increasing. And today there's no standard in Java yet for how to deal with.
There was a standardization effort. There was a proposed JSR around social, but I think it didn't actually get ratified.
That was JSR 357, and actually I was reading the comments. It's funny that you ask. I was reading the comments on why it was withdrawn earlier today, and yeah, honestly, the main reason why it wasn't accepted was that the scope was too broad, and I agree with that. And also, you have to be careful not to over standardize. For example, the domain model is something that you cannot standardize, and I think yeah, there were maybe some JSR 357 was over ambitious.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think it would make sense to have at least a framework that works on top of Java EE7, and that's what we try to do with DaliCore.
Okay, so let's show them some of that. But first, we actually got a name from the audience, so we need to change your name to the proper pronunciation. Voos. V-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-S-E.
It would rather be this.
Foss.
Yeah, actually, that's much better than how I think that's. I never.
Is that closer to the
Yes, to what all the English-speaking people tell me.
It's a whatchamacallit? What's the language for the local language there?
You mean Dutch?
Yeah. Is Vos a Dutch name?
Yes, it is. And actually, Vos is Dutch for fox.
Ah, okay. So we're getting educated in language now. All right,
Yep.
so educate us in DaliCore.
Yeah. Well, one of the there are a number of things about DaliCore that we will show at JavaOne, but one of the things that are most interesting to developers is how can you have this easy integration with Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn authentication. So you want people to log in on your project, which is in this case a website, but I can also show a JavaFX application. And you don't want you don't want people to create a new account for every single project. Well, maybe you want, but your end users don't want. I know quite a lot of people who say, I don't sign up for any service where they want me to register. So people want the opportunity to use their social network accounts. So in this proof of concept, you can choose, I want to create an account, or I want to log in using my social network credentials. So this is what I'm accidentally already logged in via Twitter, so I can immediately authorize this application. And now my application sees that I'm logged in as Johan Vos. Internally, DaliCore couples the user that we retrieve from external networks with a DaliCore user. So you can also combine it with more online accounts. And this part of the API is gonna retrieve information from social networks. I can actually show another example, but then this time a JavaFX application. I'm in the midst of a layout change, so it might not look completely.
That might be an improvement over your usual GUI styling skills.
Actually, the biggest improvement in my UI styles is that someone else is doing the UI now, which is not shown here yet.
You've outsourced it.
Yes. So it's Hendrik Evers who is changing the layout.
Very nice.
I don't know why, because I think this is perfect, but okay. Not everyone agrees. So this is a nice JavaFX application where actually I should have shown first. I can here read some content and I can vote upon it, but then I said no, you need to be logged in before you can vote on content. So that's what I do. I can log in and look, this is a JavaFX application, but with DaliCore on the back end. And what we see here is a redirect to the Twitter authorization, and the same principles as I showed in the web application are used here. So the whether you're going to use a web framework or JavaFX, it connects to the same backend, and you can use the same APIs for connecting to social networks. So
nice, and that was using a JavaFX web view to bring up the page.
Exactly. Yes. And you can see the pictures are taken from.
Those are a bunch of ugly mugs. Don't know who those people are.
Most of them are, yes.
All right. So
they're in DaliCore, but this is the login part. So how to connect, because that's often most visible to people. What we will also discuss then is okay, now you can combine users. You don't have to create your own user base, but it's important to keep the relevant information in your own application. So you want to combine users and content from your own application with the and still leverage the social networks. So that's what I will talk about in that second talk.
Cool. So anything else you want to leave folks with about what you're going to be doing at JavaOne, or things they should check out while they're in San Francisco?
Well, actually, I'm really looking for surprises at JavaOne. So if there's something that you think that will surprise me.
No, we never. We never plan surprises for JavaOne. We leave all the cool stuff for DevOps.
Okay, that makes sense. But DevOps has many surprises already. So no, I'm really looking for. I think the embedded track has some cool stuff. The enterprise track with EA7 is going to be very educate. It's going to be a high educational track, many new things, and it's going to be interesting to see how EE7 is now being used. Also looking forward on Java SE8, but actually more on SE9 with the Jigsaw implementation. And then I'm really looking
So
forward.
you're already over SE8. That was so last year. You're already up on the early access OpenJDK builds.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I mean, whatever I'm doing, it's running a SE8. Yeah, it doesn't mention it here, but SE8 is yeah, it's almost getting boring because it doesn't contain modularity. So
I'll let Mark know that you're waiting for modularity.
Yeah, early access on SE9 would be appreciated.
Very nice. Cool. All right. So thanks very much for your time for the interview, and look forward to seeing you at JavaOne San Francisco.
Looking forward myself too.